Yeah, we're ready.
We might still have some tricklers.
I think that's fine. Yeah, we should get started. Everybody here is engaged and.
Good morning. I don't know that I need a mic, considering we've all been talking the whole time and you can probably hear us anyway, but I want to welcome you. I know we're all pretty much familiar with each other at this point and just period, but I do want to welcome you. I also want to thank Oasis for coming in from, where did you come from? From Utah.
Wow.
From Utah, and then we've got some other people coming that will be here maybe in about an hour or so that will join us, and of course Miss Mary Catherine came from Durham? Greensboro was close. Okay. Came from Greensboro. But anyway, thank you all for joining us. We're shifting our agenda a little bit because sometimes when we have these types of events, you can't tell who's going to show. We do record it so that way people can engage later. Obviously this is a work week, so not everybody's able to attend. So we do record it to allow them a chance to also experience it, and it will be on Facebook as well. For those who don't know me, which I believe you all do, I'm Semone Pemberton. We've got quite a few school board members here. I will leave it up to you if you want to speak. Not all of us know each other that well when it comes to what you stand for on the school board and your experience. So I welcome you to speak if you'd like to. If you opt not to, that's okay too. So I'm gonna start though. If you do want to speak, just raise your hand for me real quick, just so I can get a tally for the school board members. Okay? Okay, all right. Peer pressure, all right. All right, welcome everyone, come on in. As we're getting started, you can, and this is for everybody, we've got food over here. You're welcome to get up at any point and grab something. It's labeled, the boxes are labeled. Grab what you want, the water. Also, before you leave, there are school supplies over there. There are free school supplies, so take them with you if you have students or schools that are going to need, that can benefit from them. So that's there. All right, I want to start first by allowing our school board members and candidates. Actually, we don't have any incumbents here. Okay. So we've got candidates here, and I'm gonna go in order. So we've got District 2, Mr. Jonathan Lee, and I'll give you each a few moments to just introduce yourself and kind of go through who you are. Let's welcome Mr. Lee.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to share in this event this morning. My name is Dr. Jonathan Lee. I am a candidate for the school board in District 2. Instead of having a chit chat about who I am, I would love to speak about the equipment and that system in the back in terms of how it could relate to the issues in the school system. And I was wondering, since each of us, each student is so specific, so unique in their gifts, that tool could be adjusted to meet the needs of that particular student. I know that a little bit about AI. There's a thing called an agent, and that agent takes input from the results produced by an AI, and they feed it back into the AI system. And so that would be a unique way of actually adapting that system to the needs of specific individuals in the school system. And how smart AI is, it can actually learn how to teach that student. Wouldn't that be amazing? The AI actually learns how to address the needs of each student in the room. Almost like God, but not quite. Not quite. So again, my name is Jonathan Lee. I'm a candidate for the Cumberland County School Board in District 2, and I would love to be a partner with you guys in that system. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. All right, next we have Ms. Doris Bell, which is District 3 school board member, or candidate, excuse me. Let's welcome Ms. Bell.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me. I bombed this week earlier. I think I did. So, I'm gonna tell you who I am. My name is Dolores Bell. I have been here for about 48 years, because my husband's military. He's in the Army for 22 years. I have 3 children, all grown and out of the house.
Amen.
Yes. They are, let's see, 49, 46, and 41. I have 9 grandchildren, 23 to 3. I worked at Terry Sanford for a little over 10 years. While I was there, I enjoyed it. I love kids. For my 40th birthday, what I did, I fed the girls' basketball team. That was what I did for my 40th. And I said, I like this. So after that, every school I worked at, on my birthday or around Valentine's Day, I fed the whole staff. I cooked all the food. I have been a teacher assistant. I was secretary for 4 assistant principals. I have worked with exceptional children. When I went to my second school, I went to a middle school. On the very first, when you're in high school, you try to talk to the kids the way they talk to you, or they gonna run over you. So when I got to middle school and I worked with the 6th graders, I thought I could talk to them the same way. The kid looked at me and just busted out and started crying. There I was an instructional assistant. I became the medicine clerk, and I also became the discipline clerk. So what I used to do when I was at Terry Sanford. My daughter played basketball there. When I was working with the 4 assistant principals, my principal would come in and I'd be in the office, in one of the AP's office, and they said, Miss Bell, what you doing? I said, kids like to talk, so whenever a teenager want to talk, I stop what I'm doing. And he said, carry on. If I hear a child is about to get in trouble and they gonna kick him out of school, come here, baby. We need to talk. So that is me. I love teenagers. All my kids play basketball. I have been team mother for Team North Carolina, for the Junior Olympics team. So I just love being around kids that make you feel so young. They may not all the time talk to you the way you want them to talk to you, but if you just put a smile on your face and just say, come on, I know what you need. Come on. Come on, get this little 2-second hug, because that's all you getting.
Amen.
And I just love being around kids. I have, my oldest daughter just finished her term at Durham Public Schools on the board. So I do have a little bit of knowledge of what goes on in some of the board meetings. And I also know that one person, you can try to make that change, but you got to get that majority to get it done. And I know a lot of politics is everywhere, even in the schools, even in the boardroom. I already know that. But I think I can handle myself and do what needs to get done. And I also think that there is time for a change in our system. Some have been there forever. Some have, and some of them need to just find something else to do. I talk from the hip. So this is me. What I can do is, I think that every school that I walked into a school and I was there for 2 days, I said, dog, these people don't like each other. How can you work together when you can't even get along? So I went to the principal and said, what can I do? I started having lunches. That's what I did. And soon, everybody started getting to know each other. And they have been working together for about 10 years and they don't even know anything. If you don't have that good morale where them teachers can get along with each other and say, hey, I have got to run to the bathroom. Can you watch my class? No, I ain't gonna watch your class. That's your class. No, we don't need that. We need where the teachers get along and the staff can get along with the teachers and the admin can get along with everybody else. I have worked in the office, so I know how it works. I did it for 2 years. And I found out that with a little kindness, you can get so much done. My principal came to me and said, Miss Bell, how you get the bookkeeper to help you? I said, I asked. That's all you got to do is ask somebody to help you when you're not sure. And if I'm in there, I'll be asking a lot of people because there's so much I don't know. Now, those goggles, I could only play Miss Pac-Man on the Atari, but the kids nowadays, they teach me things. So I know if they get their hands on that, it will teach them a lot, because some teachers do not take time to learn, to see how they learn. Me, I got to do it. If I don't do it, I can ride with my husband to Atlanta, but if I don't drive it, I don't worry about it. I don't worry about learning. But if you just take the time to find out the kids, what they need, how they learn, I believe our kids could do a lot better in school.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. All right, next we have Dr. Tom Hatch. Oh, Mr.
Just you.
Mr. Tom Hatch. He's running for District 3. Let's welcome him.
Thanks, Simone. Thank you all for the invitation. As I was standing up here, I was having the question was, so do we have these devices in our schools? And the answer is yes. They're going to be in small pockets. They're grants that teachers have written, probably for a STEM project or something like that, and a couple of sets are, what you might find. I know when I was at maybe it was at Reed Ross. I certainly think it was more at Terry Sanford when I was a principal there. We brought a truck in and they had this stuff in a truck. So you had to take the kids out of the class, get in the truck. But now it's gotten more granular where you put the goggles on and it's very interactive. Just a little bit about me. Born and raised here in Cumberland County, a product of Cumberland County Schools. Went off to college at UNC Wilmington, came back, got my first teaching job at Ann Chestnut Junior High School. And from there, I've been in the school system for 32 years, retired in 2022. I was a teacher, I was a coach, I was a parent, I was an administrator, I was a principal of 3 schools. In all 3 instances, in those 3 schools, I was placed there by the superintendent to right the ship, so to speak. There were just some leadership things that were lacking and the school wasn't going in the right direction, and so that was my job. That's just what I do. I like to fix things. And once those things are fixed, it's time to move on and do something different. And so I retired in 2022, and people ask me, why are you running for school board? Because our school board needs people who have been in the schools, who absolutely know what's happening with our teachers and our students and our parents and our communities and the struggles. This virtual VR stuff, reality, is so important to Jonathan's point. It differentiates the instruction. And a third Tuesday night, I said our curriculum is outdated. How we teach is outdated. How we assess is outdated. We keep saying the same things over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's why we all crazy, because we're not getting anywhere. We give all these standardized tests and we say, boof, one size fits all. Everybody take the standardized test. But we don't teach that way. We tell our teachers to differentiate your instruction. So we differentiate our instruction, and we have all the fun and games and hands-on kinds of things and all of this stuff that caters to the multiple intelligence of learning that kids have. But here you go. Take your test on the paper, A, B, C, or D. What? And the choices on the test, in many instances, are so similar because we're trying to teach our kids how to think critically through a standardized test. Wrong. We teach kids how to think critically through hands-on experiences to actively problem solve. So we've got to just stop what we're doing. And one guy, one gal, one person isn't going to make the difference. But we've got to start having the conversation somewhere. And somebody's got to put their foot down and just say, enough is enough. And push back at the state, push back at the feds. I mean, because it really starts with the federal government, who's pushing down mandates for testing, that we have to test at 5th grade, 3rd, 5th. Well, it's subject areas in essence, reading and math and science. We have to have these benchmarks so we can see how we're doing, and we've got some data to say that this state's doing here and this state's doing that, and it hasn't done a daggone thing. It hasn't fixed anything. Testing is not the solution for accountability in our schools. So I'm sorry, let me get off my soapbox, because that's just part of the reason why I'm running, is that I sat as a principal in 3 different schools, and I said it out loud, I'm not worried about the test. Take care of your people. They'll take care of the kids. You'll get things done, and we will work together to try to bring things into the building so that we can differentiate, that we can be ready for the test, that we can do these things. But at the end of the day, it's about doing what's best for kids, taking care of your teachers, serving your parents and your community so that you can make some gains and make some achievements. So thanks again for this. I know as a potential board member that these kinds of things come along, but it's a price tag. And so it is interesting. I definitely would like to hear what the cost of that would be, and how these would be able to be used within a whole school, a department, and so forth. Because you put some technology in the kids' hands, that's great until it doesn't work, and I'm right back here trying to figure it out, and whatnot. So I am skeptical in that regard, but I will definitely say this is the future, I do believe, where we can take a field trip in a virtual world and go somewhere that we can sit right in our classroom and do it. So thank you all for coming and sharing this as well. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mr. Hatch. All right, next we have Tracy Pelt, who is running for District 5. Welcome, Tracy.
Thank you so much, Simone, for hosting this. I think that this is something that is so needed for our schools. It's so needed for our children. We need to really begin to explore different avenues to help our children learn. I've always said it, and I firmly believe that the one-size-fits-all model of education just does not work. It has not worked, and it is not going to work if we continue trying to push the same thing. So I think it's time that we begin to really shift how we approach the learning. Think about this, our children are day in and day out living lives, entering into different types of situations and scenarios with their friends and their peers and, every other aspect that they are in life. And then they go into the classroom and they're saying, now we just have to sit and hear somebody teach us or lecture us or things of that nature. And so they're not really learning the way that they ought to. And what we're really doing is facilitating a pathway where people are not being educated properly. It's time to shift the narrative. It's really time to shift the narrative. And I appreciate what Mr. Hatch said. We're going to really have to work because things come from the federal level. Everything that enters our school systems, it comes from the government. And so we're really going to have to learn how to be collaborative with our government. We're really going to have to learn how to collaborate with those that are in office. And how about this? How about we put people in office that are going to champion our children's educational processes? How about we put people in office that are not going to put restrictions on how we teach our children and how our children are to learn? We need people in office like Semone Pemberton that's going to say, hey, we need this in our schools. We need this in our schools. So this is some of the things that we are really looking at. And I'm a firm believer in bridging the gap between the foundational studies that we have. Our kids need the reading, they need the writing, they need the STEM, they need all these educational opportunities. However, it would be an egregious error for us to say, let's shut down the technology because our kids are so distracted in school. And that's one of the conversations that's being had right now. Shut that down, the kids are too distracted. No, we need to learn how to bridge the gap between the foundational studies and the global technological age that our children are entering into. Because once they leave these classrooms, they're not going to just be sitting taking tests anymore. Now they're going to have to put into practice everything that has been theorized in those classrooms. So we need to do a better job in blending and in marrying the foundational things with the technological global age that our children are entering into. I am Tracy Pelt, and I am running for District 5 School Board. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Tracy. All right. Excuse me. So we have Oasis, who I've already spoken about earlier. Oasis, I'm not going to talk about who Oasis is. I'm going to let them talk. So who is it that's going to be? Is it going to be you, Kim?
Yes, it'll be
Okay.
all of us. Yeah,
Okay.
all of us.
Before you come up, let me also just say who I am, because I
Yes,
didn't.
please.
So I'm Semone Pemberton. I'm running for state senate. Now that is not what this is about. I am a champion of education. That's public school, private school, charter school, homeschool. It is whatever education is effective for the child. In my own life, I had to go through all of those to be properly educated. Obviously, that was a long time ago, but there was a point that I was in a public school, or I'm sorry, it was a private school. It was a public school, and I had an issue there. And if it wasn't for my mother, excuse me, being able to move me to another school where I could be, it was another public school, but if she wouldn't have been able to move me to another school, then I would have had an issue. My education would have looked very different, probably wouldn't have graduated. It was a lot going on. But so I am an advocate of school choice, which I understand that not everybody is, and I understand that. I'm also an advocate of fixing the gaps that we have. Opportunity scholarships, some people love it, some people hate it. It is not a perfect system. There are gaps that need to be fixed. So that's one of the things that I would like to look at. It works sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't. We do need to look at it. So I'm not opposed to that. So for those who know that I am for education and opportunity scholarships, just know that I'm also for public schools, and I'm open to closing the gap and making it work for everyone, because obviously public schools are hemorrhaging people, children, but we also need to find out why and fix that problem. So any way that I can assist with that is what I'm looking at. So, that said, I would like to bring up Kim, and actually we've got Kim, Cynthia, and I keep mixing the two of you. Crystal, Kristen, and Cynthia. If you could join us up here. This is Oasis, and they're going to be doing this presentation. This is just a demonstration of what is possible, and it's something that's has already been implemented, but they're going to tell the story of it and kind of show you what's possible in Cumberland County Schools.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome them.
We
Well,
might
for
need
the recording,
assistance.
for the recording, I need a mic. Someone's got to have a mic.
Yeah, we will use a mic, okay. Do you want us to use both mics?
Sure, yes, absolutely.
Okay, but I just need to get this on first. So, who was helping me with this? The gentleman that was helping, is he on?
I think I can step in.
Oh, I think I might have just fixed it. And we saw it best with the lights off, which I'm sorry.
I don't think
Is
you're
it
on.
on?
She's on.
I think it's coming.
Your
There we go.
microphone.
There, oh, okay. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, hello. Well, first of all, thank you for the amazing welcome. And it is just a joy to be here in North Carolina. I come from the Salt Lake City area, and I'll let my team introduce themselves in just a moment. My name is Kim Tafiti. I am the CEO of Oasis XRE, and I'm so just honored to be able to be here with you today, to hear about the passion from the school board candidates, to hear about the issues that matter to the folks here in Fayetteville and Cumberland County. Everybody's different. Everybody has their own unique issues that they're facing in their schools. Not one school or one district or one school board is the same. And it's just wonderful to get to know you. And I hope each and every one of you are on the school board, because man, with you on the school board, that would change everything. So you have my vote. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna let Kristen and Cynthia take a moment to introduce themselves, and then we'll go through a little bit of information, and then we're gonna let you see inside of these headsets and what it looks like.
Hi, I'm Kristen Olenkowski. Happy to be here. It was really fun to hear different candidates for school board and also state senate. So, yeah, North Carolina would be in great hands if you all get elected. So I hope you do. You were speaking my language, talking about innovation and personalized learning, and even using AI to help improve education. So that's why I'm one of the founders of Oasis XRE, and part of my passion is innovative education, just finding a better way to educate kids and to help them be more interested, more engaged, more excited about learning again. So thank you for having us. We're so excited to be here. Thank you.
Well, hi, my name is Cynthia Gonzalez, and I come from Arizona. I am part of Oasis XRE. I'm the VP of Operations. I identify myself with education because, the same as Dolores, I worked at the front office of several school districts. That's how it all happened and started. And you connect with students, you connect with parents, you see the difference and the lack of communication between admin and other parents or even the teachers. And I feel like every student needs to be taught in another way. So they're having devices, having innovation, having different ways of teaching. It's what inspired us and inspired me to be part of it. I was an executive director at a school in Arizona, Painted Desert, and we actually had the experience to use the headsets back in March 2020 when COVID started. So I had the pleasure of directing a school with it. It was amazing for our students, and I hope we get to touch more students throughout this different states to have the ability and the possibility of a different way of being educated. Thank you.
We're going to tell a little bit more of our story so that you understand the evolution of using these devices. I will be calling on Kristen and Cynthia, so don't get too comfortable. So rewind to prior to COVID. And if you know something about the area of Utah and Arizona, there's the four corners where the four states meet, and you can be in New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, and Utah all at the same time. Down there in that area, that southeast corner of Utah, if you will, that school district is 8,000 square miles. And so if you were to put a building in that area, anyone might be driving 2 hours on a bus to get there, let alone keeping teachers in that area. The turnover, very high turnover with teachers. Our co-founder, Angie Iono, who is on her way here, you will get to meet her, but had a meeting in Durham and is not here right now. She wanted to do something for that area. Now, right down there in that area, it neighbors reservations, so the biggest being the Navajo. There's several reservations in Colorado and Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. And if you know anything about trying to educate and provide educational services to that population, it is the most challenging population demographic that we have in our nation. And she wanted to do. Her goal was to do something for that. Fast forward, she ends up getting involved in Painted Desert with Cynthia, and COVID hit. And as you know, everybody during COVID went online, and we're doing Zoom. Now what was happening is kids weren't showing up, they were disengaged, they were, districts and schools were losing students, couldn't find them. The numbers are astronomical, especially in the urban areas like LA and Houston and Chicago. They still have not found all of the students that they lost. During that period, what Angie decided to do was take a bold move and say, you know, we have 120 of our students that have to go onto the reservation. Zoom is not working. We need to get them internet. We need to put them in the headsets, and they come in synchronously with their teacher. And that's how they have class. And so they did that. And they bought the headsets, they bought the internet, the kids were quarantined, and they did not lose one student. And the students attended every day. And even as they brought them back, they continued to incorporate VR. So that's how we know, okay, we can do this. This is a model. That was the impetus for starting the company Oasis. Fast forward, Oasis is the educational service provider for a statewide charter school in Utah that will launch in the 25-26 school year. It's in its planning year. It is completely virtual. It is home-based. The learning will happen in the VR. So how does that work? I'm sure there's lots of questions about that. Students will have a bell schedule. They, just like they would in a traditional school, math will be at 8:15, English at ELA at 9:15. And at that time, they go into their headsets synchronously in the classroom with their teacher and their classmates, and they have a lesson. And then that might last about 20 minutes or so, and then there's going to be other activities that they need to do, incorporating AI. We've been able to incorporate AI lessons where they can learn from George Washington about the colonization of America and the American Revolution. They can chat with George Washington and ask him questions. And if they get off topic, George Washington will bring them back around. So you can't talk to him about, Disneyland or, what's your favorite snack or whatever. He's gonna bring it back around. And we're able to incorporate that kind of learning now. So in that situation, to your point about, individualizing learning, being able to ask George Washington your questions, now you have that, I want to know more information, I'm engaged, I'm learning. We're also working with an alternative high school in Northern California. It's in a very rural area. It's in Colusa County, 2 counties north of Sacramento. It is primarily the rice fields and nuts is what they grow there primarily. Lots of migrant workers are there. Spanish is the first language for high majority of their students. And in this particular program, they're working with students who just are not making it. They're not making it in a traditional environment. They're at risk of dropping out or not graduating. They are on behavior IEPs, and they need to come to this program. And so we're honored to be able to work with them. So we were there a couple weeks ago launching some new courses with them where they're doing it in person. They come in person, their headsets are there in the classroom. When it's time for them to focus on the given course, they go to their laptop, they open up the lesson plans, and it walks them through what they need to do. It's a little bit different model, right? So we were given the challenge to make sure that we were able to connect with Edgar. Edgar is the ringleader, the toughest one, and if we can get Edgar, we can get the other kids. So we put Edgar in, and it was no surprise. He was the fastest one on the tech. He understood it the best. He got through the unit. And when he had to respond to the La Amistad experience, sorry, I'm gonna cry. He reflected in writing about his feelings about that and how it made him sad to see what they went through. Now, if he'd been in the packet that they were using before, he would never have had that emotional experience with it. And that speaks to one of the reasons why fully immersive VR learning is so impactful, because it engages our emotions. You are there, you're experiencing it. That heightens those connections in the brain, and that makes the learning stick. And now we're past just the facts that we need for the test, and we're into, how does this impact me? What does this mean to me? What about my colleagues? What about my friends? What about my family? So this is the kind of impact that we have the opportunity to have. And the beauty about VR is that it's so flexible. However a school wants to use it, that's okay. A private school can use it, a public school can use it, an online school can use it, a charter can use it. And they can build it in, fit it into their educational programming however they see fit. Okay? So I just share that experience with you because for us, we've seen the transformation. It feels really new. It feels kind of scary. Sometimes new things are scary. But we've been able to see the transformation and how quickly students learn in it and the recall that's there. And we're just so excited. We're so excited for our school to launch. You know, we are looking at doing a school in North Carolina. That might become an option here. You know, it might be something that Cumberland County wants to investigate and see if that works for their children as well. And we're happy to have those conversations, and we're just happy to be here with you today to share a little bit of this. So let's get into it. I want to give Cynthia and Kristen anything else that you'd like to add to what I just shared. Okay. All right, so I'll keep talking. Let's go to my next slide if I can. Okay, why is this hung up on me? Let's go into presentation mode. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to play a little video here, and it's short. It's very short. Here we go. Okay, so what you saw, so what you saw in that video are a few of the experiences. Hopefully you noticed that you saw a classroom getting together in there that was working on some skeletons, and they had a heart and they had a cadaver there that they were able to see. You could see that there were some asynchronous experiences where they can do a dissection, or they can take a tour or a field trip to somewhere around the world. The options are limitless. What our teachers have the ability to do is create a classroom wherever they want in the world, or it can be in space. We have the space station, we have we have the moon, we have the ocean, we have Paris, we have the Taj Mahal. Wherever they want to have class, they can hold class. And within that class, the teachers can spawn, which means they bring out a 3D object that kids can manipulate. So if we're in chemistry and we're talking about combining chemicals and we want to make the water molecule, we can combine hydrogen and oxygen and create water, okay? And now students are interacting with it. One of the things that was so interesting to me is when I looked at the difference in size between a proton and an electron, because I was actually able to see it to scale. When you just see an anatomical measurement unit, it makes no sense to you when you read it. It's so infinitesimally small, but when you can compare them to something and you see it in real time, you realize, wow, that proton is really small compared to that electron that is bigger than, how many suns put all together. Well, now I understand that, right? I have walked around an elephant. I have walked under an elephant. I have been able to examine an elephant. I've been able to examine a whale and see what that size differential is. So when you start to see it in real time and you have that experiential learning, it sticks with you and you understand it at a level that you wouldn't understand it before, okay? So we're gonna cast now. I'm gonna need some help because I'll go ahead and go into the headset right here. I'll just take you through a little tour. I'm gonna explain it, and then we'll be done with our presentation and we'll let you try it, okay? You can come and try it up here, or you can try it back there, and we'll have some Q&A. We can answer questions, okay? Is that okay? All right. What we're gonna do, so who wants to help me?
What do you need?
Okay, so this needs to, make sure we get this on casting. Okay. So, let's see. Oops, this one. Okay. I think my boundary's set up over here. So, let me explain a few things about this. This is the MetaQuest 3. It is made by Meta. If you've heard of Oculus, they bought Oculus several years ago. This is the latest version. These are cameras. So if you go outside of your boundary, once you're in, you can see through. But this is also so you can do augmented reality. Augmented reality is where you will see something in your physical environment. So we do have the ability to do augmented reality, and we will use that when it makes sense. We like the fully immersive because research shows that it is the best form of learning. Recall is better in it. The emotion that you receive from it is better. It engages every single one of your senses. Your vestibular, your proprioceptal, which means your movement, your balance, your position in the world. And that's how, and that's why you feel like it's real. Like, I've really been there because you're engaging every sense. It has these, lenses in here. That's where you see everything. They're fully adjustable. The headset's fully adjustable, and then you use these controls. For those of you that are gonna try it, and some of you already have and are already experts, and I'm so impressed that you were able to get in there. On the right side, this joystick is going to be how you like turn your head around or move around, okay? And you don't have to physically move your body, you use this, and then you can turn around. On the left side, the joystick is gonna be how you move forward or backward or sideways, okay? You're gonna see every once in a while that you have to click on something or point to something. A laser will come out of your joystick, and you'll use this front trigger to click it. And then if you wanna grab something, you use the side one. And so you can come over. I'm gonna pretend like I'm walking over with my joystick. I can pick this up by clicking on it. I can carry it around, move it around. I can throw it with releasing it, or I can put it down and release it on both, okay? So quick tutorial. If you get motion sickness, because some of us adults do get motion sickness in here, a couple things. You can build up tolerance to it. So if you do short sessions, you can build up tolerance to it so you don't get motion sickness, but they also have teleporting. So I can just point my joystick down at the floor, click the A, wherever I see the green circle, it'll jump me there instead of me having to walk, okay? So you can feel motion sickness walking this. Most people don't, some people do. It just takes time to build it up. And
most kids don't.
Yeah.
It's more adults.
yes, it's the adults. The kids usually do a lot better in it. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on. You can wear your glasses in it. It adjusts to that. It looks like you'll see a blue circle on the floor if you're out of the boundary. And so am I casting, or do I need to go
Not
back and
yet.
cast?
So
Okay,
cast.
let me go back and do that. I had it, but then I lost my connection, so,
Selected.
okay. There's several content providers out there that have been developing content for K-12. Some of them have been around for over 10 years.
Just give me a second, Kim.
Yeah, no
Let's see
problem.
where it
It
is.
should be
It's
coming.
not showing up on the screen.
It is on the
It's on your
computer,
computer screen.
but not on the projector.
You'll need to hit the presentation button.
I did.
So yeah, so now you should be able to see in here. Okay, this is our lobby. You can see that blue. There we go. There we go. Okay, so this is our lobby. This is where we start. I'm gonna go ahead and resume where I was. So we're using the content that has been created. There are tens of thousands of objects out there. There is thousands of experiences that we can do, and what we do is we bring it together in units and lesson plans and train teachers and help them navigate this, because you would not just hand this over to a teacher and expect them to be able to figure this all out and align it to their lesson plans. So we've gone to the extra effort of actually aligning this to state standards and to the core and elective subjects that you would need to deliver in a school, okay? So I'm gonna show you let's see, which one do you guys want me to go to? You tell me. I can go to the Luxor, I can do a dissection, I can do the journey to civil rights, I can take you to the Hoover Dam. I can go wherever you want to go. Why don't we start with the Luxor? We'll just do that in Egypt. How about we do that? Yes, I don't need a passport, which I don't have right now.
You don't
It's
have
expired.
to do a 20-hour flight.
We're gonna let this load here for just a minute. Okay, there we go. All right. If this is the experience that you come into, you can always look over here and you can, hopefully you guys are seeing it.
Yes.
It is giving me the instructions of how to use my controller, so that's a reminder, okay? And you're gonna wanna make sure the sound is up on that computer. I'm gonna come right here. Oh, let me Is it, maybe it's the internet's not gonna let you hear it.
Served as a grand procession route, connecting the Karnak Temple
Okay.
to the Luxor Temple. in
So I'm gonna
ancient
pause here.
times. The Sphinxes on either.
Okay.
No, it's not getting it.
Okay, yeah, it might be the connection. So I'm in here. This can be a joint field trip that everybody comes in on. So a teacher can start a room and you can have all the kids come in here and you can come in, do this field trip together if you want. I'm just gonna fast forward a little bit. There we go.
Welcome to the Avenue of the Sphinxes, a grand promenade lined with imposing sculptures of a physical creature known as the Sphinx.
Okay.
This majestic avenue
And they're gonna go through this experience all the way back into the main chamber. And they're going to have a number of activities that they can do. I'm just gonna keep moving forward. I'm gonna teleport a little bit here. I'm gonna come over to the Sphinx. I like this one because it's simple and it's a good one to learn on. This one is teaching you how to grab things. So you can come up to this Sphinx here. I can pick him up and I can throw him. Just to give you an idea of how that works, okay? So that's why I like this experience, because I'm learning, but I'm also learning how to navigate here into VR, okay? All right, I can keep going in here, but I wanna take a minute, and while I'm going through this experience, we are welcome to do Q&A. I'll keep coming down here. Cynthia and Kristen are here if you guys wanna come up and answer questions, but let's have a discussion. Let's talk about this for a minute.
Yeah, I'm sure you have questions. Wondering maybe how it can be applied in your school, or what VR means for students. Any questions? Anyone want to start? Yeah, go ahead.
Would each student get one of these headsets?
Yes. So how it's working in the public charter school that's opening in Utah is every student who enrolls in the school will get a headset and will get a Chromebook sent to their house. And then also that we'll make sure that they have good Wi-Fi, IT support. Our teachers are trained in VR. So they will have a homeroom classroom, get to know their teachers well, because they'll have that class together. And a lot of our learning will be synchronous, some will be asynchronous, but for the most part, they'll be learning with their teacher in a VR classroom. And it can look you know, the VR classroom might be in Egypt. It could also be in something that looks like a college campus classroom. So depending on the teacher. So because, you know, it's going to be different for every school. In a district school, we can have a certain number of VR headsets, and then the kids can go into different experiences or different subjects. You can have a lab, you can have the whole day be in VR. It's just kind of going to be, that's what's one thing that's really nice about this. It's so flexible. I think you're going to start to see more and more. I was talking to someone earlier about college campuses are implementing this a lot. And so we're really focused on the K-12. But colleges, especially in nursing and some other hands-on things, HVAC training, we actually have CTE classes as well, where you can get certified in 12 different certifications in VR. So there's so many applications. So it depends on the school, but in a public charter school, yes, every child will get their own headset and their own Chromebook, and we can track those, so we make sure we get them back. We can also, all that will be on there is educational materials. They can still get in and themselves, we're hoping kids will explore the subjects that they love and get a deeper dive into those. But we'll have, that's why the synchronous and the asynchronous, but they will only be for educational purposes. It feels like gaming, and it's using gaming technology, but kids are learning. You know, they're always learning in the VR headset. So, great question, thank you.
Would it be okay if I point one thing out here?
Mhm.
So I've just joined in the To Kill a Mockingbird courthouse. So you can see that here, okay? I'm just looking around, but I want to point out that this is Harper Lee. And I can have a conversation with Harper Lee. What year did you write your book? And then, okay, now let me turn this up. I don't know if we're gonna be able to hear it, but I'm gonna say, what year did you write To Kill a Mockingbird? Let's see if the internet's gonna help me out today. Oh, it is getting it. What year was To Kill a Mockingbird? Okay, I'm
He
sorry,
did
the
respond.
internet is really lagging here, so I can have a conversation with Harper.
She did
Lee.
respond, it just said you cannot hear it, but she did respond.
Yes, and I can see the transcript here as I'm going through it, and, you know, these experiences are built in throughout it, so I just wanted to point that out, that this is an AI, this is an AI feature, so I can ask her anything about it. Let me stop her. So I can have a conversation with her and see the transcript. This is something new. This did not exist before, but now we've been able to incorporate AI into our experiences so that I can explore further with Harper Lee about To Kill a Mockingbird. So thanks, I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. And something really interesting on the AI, there's some subjects, for example, in the Utah State Core that haven't been developed in VR. So we're using AI in VR to develop those courses. So it's really exciting technology. Yeah.
What's gonna be the cost, I'm sorry, what's gonna be the cost, for this, I guess, the school districts or for the schools to get the systems in?
That really depends on how much it's implemented. For one subject, for a lab, it'll be less. In Utah, what did it end up being per
For
school?
in Utah, we're
Well,
opening, it's free.
it's gonna vary on how you decide you wanna implement it. Sorry, I'm sitting in the chair right now, so it looks like this. So if you're gonna do it as a station and do it as supplemental, that cost is gonna vary to, if we're bringing in the teachers, in our Utah school, we're bringing in the teachers. They work for us, we train them, they are certified in the state that they're teaching in, and that's a different cost. So it would really vary, and we just have to talk through that with you and see what would make sense.
What are the ranges?
So you're gonna start anywhere from about $2,500 per student, and you're gonna go up to about $6,500 or more per student based on the services that are assigned to it. The headsets alone are, these are alone are $650,000, and then we put all, or $650. And oh my gosh, 650, and then you put all the software on it. Yeah, and then you put software on it, and there's technical support. We do have to offer technical support for our families, especially those that are remote, right? So that if a student needs to get into their classroom and they're struggling, we can help them. If they're after hours and they're doing homework, we are there to help them with it so they can get in. So we've had to consider all of that in our cost models. So that's why it varies so much.
Now, is that cost per year?
Yes, that would be, because it's recurring hard costs on our end too. To have a teacher every year is, you pay that teacher every year to be there. Yeah.
So in Utah, that is that's all the curriculum, and also curating all the curriculum, developing all the curriculum, and all the teachers trained, and basically all the services to the school. So, yeah, great question. Any other questions?
So if, and I've got several that are popping through my brain. Obviously cost is a huge thing. And when you're thinking of this, and I've heard you say our teachers, meaning your folks. So, and as a principal, I'm just thinking implementation within a school, right? So let's say we get a package deal through a grant that we've written, and we get a classroom set of these. They would be working with your teacher or do you train a teacher on my staff?
We can do both.
Okay.
We can do both. When, in all honesty, when you get started, it makes sense to have us there
Sure.
a lot of the time, and to model that and to work with the teachers. But, in short order, your teachers can pick it up.
I mean, from everything that I was saying earlier, this is the future. I mean, this is, if we can get out of our own way when it comes to testing, because in public schools and charter schools, the almighty test is the end game, and so everything you would do has to transfer over to retention of knowledge to be able to apply to a standardized test that's being administered. I can certainly see application in schools where, or even subjects that aren't tested, that you can take a deeper dive and whatnot. The next question is really from a technology standpoint, because I got a text the other day that my iPhone 14 from 2 years ago, I can trade it in and I could get a 16 that's going to have AI and all this other stuff. And having been a principal from the day that computers were introduced in the classroom to where we are today, technology is moving at the speed of sound. And so you sink $25,000 to $5,000 in something like that per kid. How often do you all foresee, and I know this is speculation, the updating of the software that is in each of these sets? Obviously that can go through the internet, it can be updated, but even the hardware components, if it gets broken, oh my gosh, there's this new lighter weight, it's not big and bulky, it's actually like glasses. And where do you all see this going from that standpoint?
Yeah.
Thank you.
The nice thing about the software is we can implement those changes immediately into the headset. So the software updates, which really today what VR looks like is going to be different than what it looks like a year from now and 18 months from now. Like, changes are rapid, you're right. And that's why what's problematic is when schools try to do this themselves without experts knowing to update the software and have that access to it. And the hardware, we're hoping the hardware gets a lot better. We don't like putting kids under 4th grade into VR headsets because they're too heavy, and there's some other restrictions
There's other
there.
developmental things that we want to make sure that in our younger kids, for example, the fine motor skills, the writing, all of that, that's really important. Also language development. We were talking about that as well. We had a meeting with UNC Chapel Hill folks yesterday, and speech, language, that kind of development they could do it in short periods. There would be maybe some options for them, but we would not do a full day of school in there.
The software, updates automatically.
Yeah,
The software does.
updates automatically
Yeah.
Within the
into the
headset,
headset.
every time you have an update, it tells you
Yes.
and automatically, so the students will actually have those instantaneously. It will like your phone, you have an update's coming, you wanna do it now, you wanna do it tonight. Well, the students don't get that chance. It automatically just have to wait for the update to go in.
Yeah.
For that
I
to
would
go
also add that AI was not in the program last year. That's an update that happened over the summer. The To Kill a Mockingbird courthouse did not have Harper Lee in it. It now has Harper Lee in it. Because in AI with development, it is that fast. They can develop that and they can get it in so quickly. For our own staff that is creating the units and the lesson plans, if there is something that they want that does not exist, we can have that developed within about a week. Okay, that's again AI. It's Unity code, which is the code that you use to create these experiences, and it is rapid. So if there were something that they wanted to have, they could have it. So we have our curriculum developers, making sure that they understand everything that's out there. If there's something that we need, we can have that developed. So to that point, I would mention that in our Utah school, we will be doing the benchmark assessing. Assessing is not going away. We still have to teach to the standards. So the standards are addressed. Everything is aligned to that. And we will be monitoring student academic achievement, you bet, like there's no tomorrow.
Yes.
So there's some built-in, because I could see, like, there's a passage that's being read or whatever,
Yes.
and a multiple choice question or whatever. So
It's a combination.
Because the level of rigor on our test, when you're using
Yes.
benchmarking, has to mimic what's given from the state.
Yes.
Yeah.
So some of our tests will be in VR. Some of that's formative. Summative, such as the state test, or if we want to put something in, a benchmark test that you all know and love, we can use that. I mean, that's important. That data is very important to what we're doing. But yes, there can be some assessment that happens inside of VR as well.
Yes. Now, to that point, what you're seeing now is just an example of the experience itself. But when you have your lesson as a teacher, because I'm pretty sure as a school principal, you're wondering how the VR lesson goes. Well, the student gets a VR lesson explained when they go in, and you will be able to see the experience. You have the syllabus, you have the experience, the teacher meets the class, and then provides them what the assessments are going to be. They will go into their laptop, do the assessments, the data gets collected, and we keep all the data and we can see the research as it goes. And we have had that going on Calusa right now. And we have, it's just a real lesson with assessments and experiences mixed together. It's just that this is not providing what it actually looks in the classroom.
We actually use Canvas as our LMS, and that allows us to lay out all of the units, all of the lesson plans. A teacher then knows what they need to do when they are teaching that particular lesson. Students know which experiences in VR they need to go navigate to, that kind of thing. So assessment may be happening in Canvas, it may be happening in VR, and it may be something that we administer, through Dibbles or something like that.
And as far as hardware, that of course will be adapting and changing quickly too. Eventually, we hope it'll just be a pair of glasses, that light and that easy to put on, so.
And I will also say the software providers, the content providers, they are supported on the platform. So if you were to have invested in the Quest 3s, you can continue to use the Quest 3s. When you want to renew your fleet, and there's a new one out there, you would replace with the new version, just like you would if you were doing a one-to-one laptop initiative in a school. You would get the latest, and you would retire older and replace with new. So, so many questions.
Okay, here we go. This is what I see, and correct me if I'm wrong. There are two components to your system. There's a VR component, and then there's an AI component. Yes. Currently, what I see is the VR component encapsulates the AI, right? Who's in charge of the movement of AI? Because right now, AI can develop you a movie if you like. You just give it the narrative and it will produce you a movie. So who's in charge of the management of the depth of AI when it begins to think for itself and create the content for the children, for the student itself, while they are inside of the teaching environment?
So the way that AI is incorporated into the software right now is it has parameters. So for example, I was having a conversation with Harper Lee. I can ask Harper Lee any question I want, but she's only going to answer in that domain around To Kill a Mockingbird, okay? There is like a curtain around that. I'll use the George Washington. If I am talking with George Washington, I will only be able to get answers, if you will. I can ask any question I want to, but I'm only going to be able to get answers to things that pertain or relate to George Washington. So that in and of itself is it's a partition, if you will, of AI. It's not, what we don't do in this environment, I should say, is give carte blanche access to everything that is out there. We actually have controls on the headset where students are only able to get to the content that we put on there, and we can launch, we can stop, we can view what a student is doing at any time. I can log in at this point and see any student that is online and what they're actually doing inside of the VR headset if we need to. Teachers have that ability. So from that perspective, it really pertains to the domain in which you're studying. If you were talking to Einstein, right, you're gonna have to stay within that domain. If you ask a question like, I don't know, tell me what's the latest thing happening in Fortnite, to Einstein, he's gonna say, that's a great question, let's talk about, M equals, or E equals MC squared, or whatever it is. So you get what I'm saying? He's gonna bring it back around to that domain.
And I think, right, our developers and our development partners are in charge of the AI right now. This isn't AI that can self-develop or that is changing itself. This is AI that is manipulated through us and our developers. So we are doing the developing, and we're making sure that the AI is staying on the task and the course that we're asking it to.
Yes. That's what I was going to say. To that, our developers, when they're going to integrate the AI into the curriculum development the curriculum they're developing, they put the parameters as of maybe a little bit of an example. The topic, the grades, from this grade to this grade, and the topic to which, if it's going to be proficient, if it's going to be middle. So the parameters are very, very specific to maintain that information. So they actually the developers have to write the topic of, let's just say, The Kill a Mockingbird is the title, but they enter some data to where they're actually going to develop from there within the parameters specified with the grade levels and the level of comprehension as well, if that helps.
One more question, and I'm gonna give this mic to someone else. Listen.
Love it.
My understanding when it comes to VR and its component for AI, right? AI runs to a database that contains information. It does an analysis. It comes back based upon the scope of the question asked. Yes. But what it does is gather information based upon the information that it was given. It doesn't come to any conclusion on its own, but it regurgitates the history that someone else has already put there. So if I wanted you to be an advocate for Nazis, I can just stick additional content for that particular industry, for that particular era in the data from which AI pulls itself from. You understand? Right? So what are you guys doing to help control how the information is managed to kids when it comes to history? You know, what history are you teaching?
Exactly.
Mhm.
It's a good question.
Just what we were saying before, that we're controlling the information and how the AI is developing. I mean, we could have a whole conversation about AI and ethical and moral development in AI, but in this setting, there are boundaries and parameters to the state core, to what is being taught in that state. All of those things, we will be really specific about what the AI can and cannot say and what it does and does not teach.
Yeah, we are obligated to stick to the state core and the state standards by law. So we can't move out of that. It's not our, we're not, I like to say we don't put a political lens on education. We are here to deliver the information and the facts, right? And so we're not here to do a flavor of education. That is not what our job is to do. That would be your job. You are the school. You decide what your brand of education is. You decide what your philosophy is, and your families attend your school based on whether they like that philosophy of education or not. It is not our decision to make. But what we have to make sure that we're doing is that we are aligned to those standards so that we're hitting those targets. And that's just the way education works. So that's that's our goal.
I wonder, have there been any studies that point to the effectiveness of the virtual reality with students with IEPs or 504s, our special needs students?
Yes, there are. In fact, I will pull that up. I'll pull up my index of research. There has been research specifically on exceptional. I don't remember who used the word exceptional students. There is research on every age. There is research on the physical safety of it, on eye development, on brain development. So I will pull that up. You guys are welcome. I can even email it. We can get it emailed out if we need to do that. But yes, there is decades actually worth of research, empirical research on head-mounted devices, the full immersive. Military, higher ed, they've all been medical universities, they've been using this for decades. So it feels new to us because Meta finally made it something that we can buy, right? And so far it's been used for gaming. But these other institutions, I mean, think about how the military might use this for training, right? And the equipment that comes with that. You wanted to know about the feet. They do have full body suits that the military use along with a head-mounted device to train them in all different kinds of special ops. So you would have sensors on your feet, on your legs, and you can imagine what the cost of that is, but that's how they're using it. Yeah.
As a parent of a student, what is the interaction with the parents, the students, and the school with everything being VR?
Yeah, I mean, the teachers and the students are gonna interact in a classroom like they normally would. Parents and teachers can interact in VR, or they can interact in Zoom or in person. We hope, for example, in the Utah school that we're working on, we're going to have in-person meetings as often as possible. And Utah's kind of a spread out state, so we'll have to have different offices around the state where they can meet in person. There's an interesting thing in VR that happens socially, because that's one of the questions that comes up on online schools is where's the social interaction? How do kids socially interact? And definitely nothing replaces in-person meeting when it comes to socialization, but VR is superior to Zoom in the sense that I could walk up to you in VR and have a conversation one-on-one with you. And so in some of our classrooms that we've done in VR, kids get broken into little groups, like little work groups, small groups, and they can only hear what they're doing in those individual groups. So even though VR isn't in person and it doesn't replace in person, it's a more social aspect, and we've learned through COVID that you can interact and connect with people online. You know, you can forge friendships, you can forge relationships, connections. And so a teacher can go have an individual conversation with a student in VR while the rest of the class is working on a project. So it is superior to Zoom in that sense for connection and socialization. And again, we can do it in a brick and mortar school, and in the virtual schools, we will find ways to connect in person. But there's lots of opportunities for connection and for talking.
Yeah, the parent-teacher conferences, at least for our school in Utah, they're going to be, parent gets to select if they wants to actually do it in the VR or have a Zoom. But those parent-teacher conference and different activities throughout the school year will be connected either way. It's just whichever the parent prefers.
Heather had a question.
I do. So I'm a homeschool mom. I've been a homeschool mom since my son was in the 4th grade. Yeah. And my reasons, anyway, I'm not against education. It's just, it was the best option for my family. I'm not familiar, because Simone and I talked about this. She was like, do we use VR? And I've never, other than the Oculus that my brother-in-law had that we use for gaming purposes, I really wasn't aware of this. So how popular is it within the homeschool community? Because that's pricey. I mean, we're paying for our curriculums out of pocket. We don't want the government involved in what we teach our child. But, you know, this might be something my 16-year-old wants to be a game, you know, he wants to invent video games.
Yes.
So how would that work within the homeschool community?
Well, in Utah, that's where we created the charter school, the Virtual Horizon school in Utah. We created it for that purpose because we want to provide those that community and others an opportunity to have free education. So whoever enrolls in the school, it's free for them. So it has no cost during the school year that they will be enrolled. As any other school that provides a laptop to their students, that's the way we're going to do it. So it will be free. It's a free public charter school in Utah. That's what we're doing.
For the homeschoolers, there's also, I don't know what you have in North Carolina, but in some states, there's money that goes to the homeschool students and that follows the student. That's another way it could be implemented. But we're definitely had a lot of conversations with the homeschoolers in Utah that want to be a part of this school, because they're still getting the aspect of being at home, but now they're having an online instructor and they're in VR, and it's just that engaging and immersive education that they're excited about.
I'm just trying to get my head wrapped around when you said your teachers. Now, the teachers that you hire are actually teachers who are educated teachers that are going to be coming in. So are y'all going to send someone to like each school to teach?
Oh, okay. So it depends on the model. If we're an online school, they need to be certified into the state or follow the teacher certification guidelines for that state. So if we're doing it in North Carolina, they need to be, according to the state statute, they need to be certified in North Carolina. So that's who the teacher would be when they're in that online environment facilitating their class. Now, if we're doing this with a school that's in person already and they already have a teacher of record, that teacher of record does not change. So that we can then bring in an instructor, a subject matter expert in those areas to come in and facilitate those classes. And they might be from Utah or Florida or North Carolina or wherever they might be. So we do have the ability to bring in the best teachers in those subject areas in that scenario. So we would not replace a teacher of record unless we are being the school. And if we're the school, then we need to follow the state certification that we're in. We'd like to welcome Angie Iono and Dennis English. They just joined us. Thanks for being here, you guys. You missed the whole presentation. That's okay. I think you've seen it before. And we are answering questions, so jump in if you want to.
I saw on your website the credit recovery is huge. That is a big issue is in high schools. Is kids that fail a class and have to get caught up and are bored to tears sitting in front of a computer. They have to read everything. Some, very few, can just get right through it. We have a school in Cumberland County called Alger B. Wilkins. It is designed for, in essence, credit recovery. I don't know if that school rings a bell to you all or not, but they use a credit recovery program. This would be an amazing tool for a school like Alger B. Wilkins, for a couple of our alternative schools where kids just having a rough time being in a regular ed classroom with face-to-face interactions with peers that cause them to get off task and to get in all kinds of malfeasance. But they deserve the right to have an education. And so this is really for just as much for the high flyers and the high achievers, this is great for our kids who struggle in a regular ed class. Wah, 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 wah.
It's so true. And what we think is that, for one thing, school has probably not been a positive for them if they're needing to get credit recovery. And there's just an excitement that comes with doing this kind of education. And we saw that in the alternative high school we're working with in California. We're in talks with an alternative high school in Pittsburgh with the same issues. These are kids that have dropped out or on the verge of dropping out. And the VR headset's just a different way of learning that is exciting to them and different, and then we can teach them a lot quicker in VR. So we can get them caught up and get that credit recovery a lot faster. And as you know, what's out there right now, no offense to anyone, is just not great. It's boring. And so you're taking a kid who's already not done well in school and you're just making matters worse. Yeah. So this, we think, is a more exciting way to learn. They're gonna be more engaged, they're gonna learn quicker, and we're gonna try to get them back up to speed, back up to their class, get them graduating, get them into college or tech schools or into careers, And so you're right, the credit recovery, we're really excited about that.
Any other questions? Okay. We are going to put up a brief survey. It's like 30 seconds. We would love your opinion. There we go. And I think we'll put this in the back as well, but if we could just put your phones up to that. We would love your thoughts because this is new, right? And any feedback that we can get helps us do better, right? We're always about continuous improvement. We have some answers, we don't have all of them. Jonathan's probably gonna come up with a question that we don't have an answer to. He needs his own headset, by the way. We gotta hook you up, okay?
Thank you.
Not working?
No, need permission.
Oh, let me fix that. Here, carry on. See, I tested it, and I have the permissions. So, it worked. What's wrong? Yeah, I need to figure out how to share this. Give me a second. Let's see.
One of the things that we didn't talk about that's kind of interesting is that kids with disabilities, that can only be educated at home, there's a whole nother incarcerated students. That is another place that would be a great place to use VR. Kids with, we're seeing good results with kids with autism, ADHD, some other things where they get really distracted in the classroom. And one of my friends who's a high school chemistry teacher was saying that one of the challenges as a teacher right now is that kids are on their phones, kids are distracted, they're not really listening, they're not paying attention. And for those of you who tried the VR headsets, you know that it's so immersive that you really don't get distracted. You're really in the moment. You're really in the moment of what you're learning because you are so immersed in that experience. Sometimes you take off the VR headset and you're like, wait, where am I? So for those of you who tried it, and we'll let others try it if we have time, So that's another, there's a lot of applications for students who are really distracted, and really what kids aren't at this point. There's so many distractions. And so we're excited about that because it's such an immersive educational opportunity. So just a thought I had.
Guys, I will get this fixed in a minute, so my apologies. There we go. Yeah, you just can continue, yeah, just continue. I'll get this fixed.
Okay.
Give me a second.
All right, those of you who have not already grabbed a lunch, I think most of you have, but if you have not grabbed a lunch, go ahead and grab one here. We'll likely have a few left over, so if you want more than one, you're welcome to take another. And also the water. Aside from, and the school supplies, I'll mention that again. The school supplies, if you know families who could benefit from the school supplies, please feel free to take some. Any that are left here, we'll actually deliver them to a school, so it's not going to go to waste, but just want you to have a chance to take those.
So, okay,